Today's lesson is Pop History, the development of carbonated drinks. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
Hello, everybody. I am Shane.
And today, Shane and myself are going to continue talking about the history of pop, or the history of soda. As we said before, this carbonated drink is called differently in different places. Again, in the southern United States, they're just going to say Coke for everything. But if you're from the central part of the USA and from Canada, you'll probably say pop. But if you're from the East Coast or the West Coast, you'll probably say soda.
It's very interesting. But everybody can understand what you're talking about. Even if you're from New York and you say pop, they don't know what you're talking about.
Absolutely. But again, it's a carbonated beverage, and we did talk about a little bit of the history. Remember, we got an English chemist named Joseph Priestley, and he recognized the gas produced by a local brewery, and to make a long story short, he figured out how to put this collected gas into a bowl of water, and voila, carbonated water was born.
That's right, that fizzy, sparkling water.
And indeed, we talked about some inventions later on by Johann Jacob Schwepp. He built on the idea, and later on, syrups were added to soda water to improve the taste. And, of course, that laid the foundation for the carbonated beverages we all love and enjoy today. Coke, Pepsi, and Hey-Song or whatever. There are all sorts of different kinds of pop available nowadays. So let's find out some more about the history of soda pop today. Let's listen to the first part of our lesson for today, and we'll come right back to discuss it.
As technology advanced, the production and distribution of carbonated drinks also improved. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw significant improvements in bottling techniques. These advancements made it easier to produce and distribute soda on a larger scale. This period also featured the introduction of vending machines and soda fountains, which further popularized carbonated drinks.
大家好，第一部分介绍名词 distribution， 它的意思是分销、分派，也可以是分配或是分布的意思。例如 The item's distribution overseas isn't handled by the company that produces it. 该商品的海外分销不由制造公司负责。或者 The proper distribution of weights to the car's tires helps to keep the vehicle stable. 适当的将重量分布到车轮上，有助于保持车辆稳定。
Okay, so here in the first paragraph it says, as technology advanced, the production and distribution of carbonated drinks also improved. So, of course, they advanced the technology for making soda water to try to produce it in larger quantities at a cheaper price. But then, of course, you need to produce it, and then you need to distribute it. You need to spread it around so people can get it. So we're talking about the distribution of carbonated drinks that also improved. So you might be thinking, wow, we've got all this carbonated water here in the factory. How do we get it to the people? We can't have the people come over to the factory and hold out a glass and we'll fill it up for them. No, you got to figure out how to get it to them in cans or bottles or whatever.
Right, yeah, just the transportation. How do we get it from here, from the factory, to all those people who are just dying to have themselves a fizzy drink? So continuing along, the late 19th and early 20th centuries saw significant improvements in bottling techniques. Okay, so they saw significant improvements just means there were significant improvements. So these improvements were in the bottling techniques. So when you're putting things into a bottle, that is called bottling. So, of course, this fizzy drink is not just going to be poured in your hand. You need to drink it out of something. And the most common way it looks back then was by putting it into a bottle. So they improved those techniques.
Right, so of course you put it in a bottle. That's what bottling is all about. And then you put a bottle cap on the bottle. And then when you get a bottle of Coke or whatever, then you need a bottle cap remover or whatever, and you can enjoy your fizzy drink.
Just don't shake it first.
Right, otherwise it will spray all over the place. And again, later on in the 19th and 20th centuries, this saw significant improvements in bottling techniques. So here, saw is the past tense of see. It doesn't mean that these actual centuries saw this. It just means it involved this. We saw these things happening in the 19th and 20th centuries. This occurred during that time. There were improvements in bottling techniques and in distribution.
Right. So continuing along, these advancements made it easier to produce and distribute soda on a larger scale. So we're coming up with more and more advancements. And now we're able to distribute, or like we said before, to just get it from point A to point B, basically from the manufacturer to all of these soda lovers. And they did this on a larger scale. And if we say something is done on a large scale or a larger scale, we just mean that it's done in a very big way, involving more people, involving more product.
Right, exactly. So they could produce more and more of carbonated drinks, soda, and they could distribute it to larger numbers of people all throughout the land. And this period also featured the introduction of vending machines and soda fountains, which further popularized carbonated drinks. Now, I remember when I was a kid, there was a soda fountain at the local drugstore downtown in my hometown, but it's long gone. It hasn't been there for many years. But I think in the past, there was a way to go to some place and get a drink at a soda fountain. They would make you a soda right there, mixing the syrup with the carbonated water. Did you ever go to a soda fountain?
Yeah, you would choose your syrup and they would just add that to the carbonated water. And yeah, you can get all kinds of flavors. But now a soda fountain is just what you see when you go into McDonald's, for example. They have a machine there that has the Coke and the Sprite and everything ready to go. And it's that machine where they put the drink there and it pours it out into your cup. Vending machine. You still do see vending machines, at least around here in Taiwan, where you can get things that are specific to Taiwan, included like Heisong, you had mentioned earlier, which is a drink that's not found internationally. And of course, you can get drinks like Coke and Pepsi.
Or sports drinks and things like that, different kinds of fruit. They also have lots of tea and lots of coffee drinks. Of course, you can get those in vending machines. If you've ever been to Japan before, you know that there are vending machines all over that country. It's unbelievable how many vending machines they have there. And again, these are places where you could get yourself a nice fizzy drink, a nice soda pop. And of course, that made these drinks more and more popular. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson for today. Let's move on now to the second part. We'll listen to it first.
In the modern era, carbonated water is made by injecting pressurized carbon dioxide into water, which is a far cry from the methods of Joseph Priestley. In addition, the carbonated drink industry has grown dramatically. Today, soda is available in a wide variety of flavors, formulations, and packaging. From diet sodas and energy drinks to sparkling waters, the choices are endless. Companies continue to innovate to meet consumer preferences, including the desire for healthier drinks with natural ingredients and less sugar. Changing consumer tastes have also given rise to craft sodas. These are sodas produced in limited quantities that typically have unique flavor combinations.
第二部分看到动词 inject 表示注入、添加或是给点点点注射的意思。例如 The nurse injected the vaccine into the patient's arm. 护士将疫苗注入病人的手臂。或是 The actor injected new energy into the production. 那位演员替演出注入崭新活力。接着看到名词 formulation， 意思是配方或是构想。例如 The formulation of this skincare product is designed for sensitive skin. 这款护肤品的配方是为敏感肤质设计的。也可以说 The company's success is attributed to its innovative product formulations. 该公司的成功归功于其创新的产品配方。下一个看到名词 preference， 它的意思是偏爱、偏好或是偏袒的意思。例如 When it comes to desserts, my preference is always something with chocolate. 说到甜点，我总是偏好有巧克力的食物。又或者说 John's preference for outdoor activities led him to skip the movie and go for a hike instead. John 对户外活动的偏好让他不去看电影，而是去徒步健行。 再来我们看到名词 combination 指结合或是混合。举例来说 At dinner, we enjoyed a delicious combination of ingredients and flavors. 晚餐时我们享用了食材及风味的美味结合。又或者说 My brother owns a shop that is a combination of a coffee shop and a bookstore. 我哥哥拥有一间结合了书局和咖啡厅的复合式商店。
Okay, here in the second part, it continues by saying, in the modern era, carbonated water is made by injecting pressurized carbon dioxide into water, which is a far cry from the methods of Joseph Priestley. So in the modern era, modern times, right now, we have carbonated water, and it's made by injecting pressurized carbon dioxide into water. Okay, so this is an advanced technique, an advanced way to produce soda pop. You inject carbon dioxide into water. So if you inject something, you take something and move it quickly into something else. Usually if you get a shot at the hospital, you're being injected with a vaccine or something like that.
And there's a needle involved when you're doing that. So usually it'll be from something that is pressurized, trying to get something from one space into another. They say, which is a far cry from the methods of Joseph Priestley. Now, when you say something is a far cry from something else, it just means that it is much different. It is completely unlike the way that something was done before. So, for example, you can say, the way my mom makes eggs and breakfast is a far cry from the way that I do it. In other words, she does it really well, and I do it very poorly.
Oh, I thought it was the opposite. I thought you were saying your mother is bad at cooking breakfast, and you're really great at it. But yeah, far cry just means it's not at all the same as something else. I could say, for example, well, Joe, you're a really good basketball player, but you're a far cry from Michael Jordan. You've got a lot of work to do if you ever want to be as good as Michael Jordan. But again, this is quite different from the invention of Joseph Priestley way back in the 1700s. And in addition, also, the carbonated drink industry has grown dramatically, okay? So it's basically all over the world. You can pretty much go to every country in the world and get yourself a fizzy drink, get yourself a soda, a Pepsi or a Coke or a Sprite or whatever. They're available all over the world.
Right, and if it's something has grown dramatically, well, we know drama, and this just means that it's grown in a way that is just very impressive, and it may be even shocking. So that's what it means to say something is dramatic. So continuing along, today soda is available in a wide variety of flavors, formulations, and packaging. So we have this in a wide variety, just meaning there's all kinds of flavors. And formulations are just different ways of putting them together. So if you have a formula, it's by adding different things together in order to make something new, which would be a formulation.
Right, that reminds me of the 80s. I remember when Coca-Cola came out with a new Coke. They changed the formulation of Coke. They call it the new Coke. And everybody hated the new Coke. And they said, bring back the old one. We like the old one. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so the original formula of Coke came back. And I don't think you can actually get the new Coke anymore. It's long gone.
Long gone, yes.
But in any case, here we've got different formulations, different kinds of ways of producing the same thing. You got different flavors. Root beer, cream soda, Pepsi, Coke, lemon lime soda, or whatever. And we have different sorts of packaging. You can get it in cans. You can get it in bottles, plastic bottles. Maybe you can even get it in a tub or something like that.
Sure, why not?
Probably not, but if you're that thirsty, maybe you could get a tub of soda. Who knows?
Well, if you've ever been to the United States, the drinks that they serve you when you go to a convenience store, for example, and you go to a soda fountain there, some of those drink cups are as big as tubs. They're sometimes 1.5 liters. And it's pretty incredible, actually, that somebody can drink that much Coke at one time.
Right, that does seem like a large serving of Coke, but I remember it was very nice to have a big serving of root beer when I was driving from Illinois out to Yellowstone. So, yeah, it's nice to have a large quantity of liquid. Of course, you have to stop and use the restroom every once in a while. But in any case, yes, we have lots of new formulations and different kinds of packaging. Again, that's how you present it. That's how you distribute it in cans, bottles, or whatever. And from diet sodas and energy drinks to sparkling waters, the choices are endless. So we don't just have Coke and Pepsi and Sprite. We have diet sodas, like you like Diet Coke, right?
Right.
There's Diet Sprite or whatever. There are all sorts of them. Diet root beer or whatever.
They might even add vitamins to some of these drinks. Yeah, it's endless how many different variations there are.
Yeah, there's some kind of vitamin drinks here in Taiwan. In any case, yeah, that's the different kinds of energy drinks. We've got sparkling waters, which is basically water that's fizzy, and they probably have different kinds of flavors in there. And this is the range of different kinds of carbonated beverages that you can get. And companies continue to innovate to meet consumer preferences, including the desire for healthier drinks with natural ingredients and less sugar. So if you have a preference, that means you prefer something over something else.
Right. You just like one thing. You like A over B. That's what it means to have a preference. And it says including the desire for healthier drinks with natural ingredients. So ingredients are things that are added together to make something else. For example, you are going to make yourself a cake. It's going to require ingredients, including flour, water.
Things like that.
Yeah, so the ingredients are just one of the things from which something is made.
And moving on here, it says, changing consumer tastes have also given rise to craft sodas, which of course are sodas that are kind of new and unique. They have different kinds of flavors. You could probably get them in different places. One place will have it and another place won't have it.
Typically, they're smaller breweries or
like
smaller
craft beers,
companies. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if you give rise to something, that means it makes something possible to grow. So yes, indeed, people are getting more sophisticated. Hey, we want something new. We're kind of sick of the same old flavors. Give us something interesting. And these are sodas produced in limited quantities that typically have unique flavor combinations. So you can go to different places and try these different flavors. A combination is when you have two or more things working together to create a different kind of whole. So you have different sort of flavors. Maybe you have licorice mixed with lemon, and then maybe cherry ice cream or whatever, and bubble gum kind of mixed together. That's a combination. I'm not quite sure how that would taste.
Yeah, I had a pretty good craft ginger brew recently, and it was made with honey and different spices and, of course, ginger, and it was delicious.
Yeah, if you go to night markets in Taiwan, some of those fruit stands have all sorts of different combinations of like yogurt and fruit juice and soda and stuff like that. So it's kind of like that. You get these different kinds of combinations. Okay, let's move on now to the third and final paragraph. We will listen to it first.
By looking at the history of carbonated drinks, we can see the birth and evolution of an industry. From Priestley's soda water to today's countless pop alternatives, carbonated drinks continue to refresh people around the world.
第三部分看到名词 alternative， 它表示替代品，也可以是可供选择的事物。可以说 Mushrooms are a good alternative to beef for those who don't eat meat. 对于不吃肉的人来说，菌菇是很棒的牛肉替代品。也可以说 The workers at the factory were left with no alternative but to go on strike. 工厂的工人别无选择，只能举行罢工。最后介绍动词 refresh，表示使凉爽，也可以是使恢复精力，使振作精神的意思。可以说 A glass of ice water refreshed me on the hot day. 在炎热的天气里，一杯冰水得以让我神清气爽。最后一个例子 Before his exam, Tom refreshed his memory by reading the textbook. 考试前 Tom 读课本来唤起记忆。
Okay, so welcome back. Going through here, we see by looking at the history of carbonated drinks, we can see the birth and evolution of an industry. So we've seen all the way back from when this was first just some CO2 injected into some water, all the way to now craft sodas. So we've got to see it change. We've got to see it evolve into this industry, soda, which is quite a booming industry.
Right, so we've seen the birth, the beginning, and up to the present moment. And going back to Priestley there, from Priestley's soda water to today's countless pop alternatives, carbonated drinks continue to refresh people around the world. And so an alternative is just a different choice. When I was a kid, of course, you only could pick between, what was it, a Mountain Dew and Coke and Pepsi and Dr. Pepper and maybe Dad's root beer. I don't know if you ever heard of that brand.
Do you remember
before.
RC?
All right, RC Cola. Yeah, that was
RC
one of my
Cola,
favorites as well.
That went by the wayside.
Yeah, it's kind of disappeared now.
Yeah.
But in any case, these are different kinds of alternatives nowadays. As you said, some sort of ginger concoction you had recently.
Yes, a ginger beer is what it was called, but it wasn't actually alcohol, but they called it a beer.
Right. And remember, you take a drink to refresh yourself. To refresh basically means to make something new. Maybe you'll do that on your computer, like to refresh the screen or something like that, to update the information. But here it just means to give yourself a drink and feel nice and new, to feel refreshed.
Right.
Okay, we're at the end of our explanation for today. Here comes Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文一开始提到，随着技术进步，碳酸饮料的生产和分销也有所进展。文中它用到名词 distribution 来表达分销分派，它还有分配分发，像是分配工作等等的意思。好，那它的动词是 distribute， 我们来学习它的字首字根。先看到 tribute tribute， 它当单字有贡品、贡献、致敬或是敬意等等的意思。那它作为字根呢，则有给予分配的语义。在 distribute 这个字当中，它的字首 dis 有个别分开的意思。那么字根 tribute 表示给予分配。当我们个别分配物品，一个一个给，就不难联想到 distribute 它有分配分发的意思了。好，我们顺便补充两个有相同字根的单字。第一个是 contribute， 它的字首 con 表示一起， tribute 表示给予贡献。从字面意思来看是一起贡献、一起给予，这样应该可以联想到 contribute 它有捐献啊，或是做出贡献，为什么来贡献的意思。第二个补充的单字是 retribution， 它的字首 re 表示往回，那么 tribut 是来自 tribute 表示分配给予， ion 是名词字尾。那我们可以用予以回报，给予相对应的回报惩处，去联想到 retribution 它有报应或严惩的意思。读到课文第二部分的第一句，他提到，在现代，碳酸水是透过将加压的二氧化碳注入水中制成的。那文中是用动词 inject 来表达注入、添加，它也有给什么来注射的意思。那我们来介绍它的字根 ject， 这个字根表示投掷。那含有这个字根的字多半会带有抛出的动作。在 inject 这个字当中，它的字首 in 表示里面， ject 这个字根表示投掷。那合在一起 inject 就有投入、注入或注射的意思。像我们说投入资金啊、注入液体、注射药物等等，都可以用 inject 去表达动作。好，那补充两个有相同字根的单字。第一个是 eject， 它的字首 e 表示向外，字根 ject 表示投掷，合在一起 eject 就有弹出、退出、逐出的意思。像要描述飞行员在危急时让自己从飞机里弹出，或者是 CD 从光碟机里退出来，还有 OK 被逐出餐厅等等，都有可能用到 eject 来表达。那第二个补充的是 object， 它的字首 ob 表示反对，字根 ject 表示投掷。那丢出反对对立的言语，应该很容易联想到 object 当动词，它就有反对、不赞成的意思。好，那么以上今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Distribution. They are working on improving the distribution of medical supplies to hospitals. Inject.The kids injected air into the balloons to blow them up. Preference. Janine has a clear preference for rock music over country music. Ingredient. Customers have praised the restaurant's dishes, which are made with fresh local ingredients. Combination. The combination of sweet and salty flavors makes this dish unique. Alternative. If the bus is delayed, walking is a good alternative.
Discussion starter starts now!
It's time now for our discussion starter, and the question is, do you like carbonated drinks? Why or why not?
I do, in fact, love carbonated drinks. I really like them since they are so refreshing. You mentioned earlier that you've known people who don't like kind of that fizzy, tingly feeling that you get from a carbonated beverage. But to me, that's what makes it so refreshing and delicious.
Indeed. Well, nowadays, I'm not a big fan of carbonated drinks because I drank a lot of them before, and I got to be careful about my health these days. I'm getting older, so I don't really drink carbonated drinks anymore, although once in a while I treat myself to a root beer. Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Shane.
See you next time.